नमस्कार, मैं हूं आशुतोष पाठक। जैसा कि हमने कल घोषणा की थी, रविवार स्पेशल हम कुछ आपके लिए लाएंगे और रविवार स्पेशल में आज आपको लिए चलते हैं डलास। और मैं बहुत आभारी हूं डॉक्टर पीटर मैकॉला का, जिन्होंने फिर से एक बार हमें ऑब्लाइज कर दिया है। मैं जब भी उन्हें कहता हूं, वो मेरे लिए वक्त निकाल लेते हैं। ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। और वो तब जब अहले सुबह उनको कहीं जाना हो, बिजिएस्ट शेड्यूल में से हमारे लिए वो वक्त निकाल रहे हैं। इसलिए मैं उनके प्रति अपना आभार प्रकट करता हूं। मित्रों, डॉक्टर पीटर मैकॉला वो हैं जिन्होंने पूरी मानव जाति के लिए, फॉर होल ह्यूमैनिटी, उन्होंने एक ऐसे आशा की किरण जगाई है जिससे हम सभी न सिर्फ विज्ञान को बचा पाने में कामयाब हो रहे हैं, वरन कि पूरी दुनिया के जनतंत्र को बचाने में कामयाबी हमें मिल रही है। और इसलिए हमें उनका स्वागत करना चाहिए, तहे दिल से उनके प्रति आभार प्रकट करना चाहिए कि ऐसे समय में जब उनके खिलाफ अमेरिका में क्या क्या नहीं हुआ। आज पिछले 2 वर्षों में एक नामचीन एपिडेमियोलॉजिस्ट, कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट, एक बेहतरीन प्रोफेशनल, बेहतरीन डॉक्टर, जिन्होंने विज्ञान को बचाने के लिए सब कुछ दांव पे लगा दिया, उन्होंने 2 साल का अनुभव एक किताब में संजोया है और अब वो किताब पब्लिक डोमेन में आ गया है। डॉक्टर पीटर ए मैकॉला, जॉन लीक, इन दोनों ने मिलकर के किताब की रचना की है। किताब का नाम है द करेज टू फेस कोविड-19। आज इसी मुद्दे पर बात करेंगे उनसे। इंटरव्यू हमारा हालांकि अंग्रेजी में होगा, लेकिन मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि उसको बीच बीच में आपको बताने की हिंदी में कि डॉक्टर पीटर मैकॉला क्या कह रहे हैं। तो हम स्वागत करते हैं डॉक्टर पीटर मैकॉला का और सीधे चलते हैं डलास। वेलकम टू Qvive Network, Dr. Peter McCullough, once again. I'm highly obliged, doctor, that person like you have spared precious time for Indian viewers. And I know that how much you are busy nowadays. Even in the morning, you get up and you said that you will join me by 7:30 p.m. It is 4 o'clock. I am recording here. So thank you once again, doctor. Doctor, it's been a pleasure always talking to you. Always talking to you, doctor. It's been a pleasure. So my first question is going to you, that what you have experienced during last 2 years, because I came to know that you have written a book. The book is The Courage to Face COVID-19. What is it all about?
Well, thanks so much for having me on the program, and we're excited to release a new book. First off, about the authors, I think your audience knows me. I'm a practicing internist and cardiologist trained in epidemiology, and I, from the very beginning, have worked tirelessly to treat all my high-risk patients, save as many lives as possible. But the other author is John Leake. John Leake is a best-selling author. He is a true crime author. And what he's identified is that the suppression of treatment of COVID-19 was a true crime. And it was organized by the biopharmaceutical complex. That is a very powerful alignment of pharmaceutical companies, governments, foundations, health systems, hospitals, doctors groups, all that worked against the patient who was struggling with COVID-19.
Doctor, I have seen few quote. You have quoted from Eisenhower, the farewell speech which he has given in 1961. Can you please elaborate his quote?
Eisenhower quoted that at that time, the issue was not a biopharmaceutical complex, but it was a military industrial complex. That there are times in history where governments work very closely aligned with some type of manufacturing or some type of private entity production. And in many ways, that can be all-consuming for an economy, all-consuming in terms of resources, and in many ways can be oppressive with new forms of rules and regulations. In the United States, the biopharmaceutical complex involves the vaccine manufacturers. It involves medical schools and major medical groups, hospitals. And there's new rules. We have what's called countermeasures. Emergency countermeasures allow many things to go on currently that previously would be illegal.
Eisenhower said that one cannot be allowed to be more powerful. What does it mean?
What that means is the danger of this is that the power is taken away from the people. I mean, the beauty of America's democracy is that the power is in the hands of the people. And what Eisenhower is pointing out is this is a very much a slippery slope where individuals, the people, lose their powers. They actually lose their constitutional rights.
Doctor, when Biden president came in power, under pressure, he ordered an inquiry, intelligence inquiry about coronavirus, the origin of coronavirus, whether it is artificial or natural. And on the line of WHO, that intelligence agency came with the conclusion that it is inconclusive. They are not in a position to tell us that whether this virus is artificial or natural. So what was the investigation?
You know, those details are not open to me, but I can tell you there's been enough U.S. Senate testimony given by our National Allergy and Immunology branch, as well as Senator Rand Paul asking the questions for us to believe, based on a series of publications supporting this fact pattern, that in fact, the furin cleavage joint of the spike protein of SARS-CoV-2 was intentionally manipulated to make it jump from a bat to a human, and then within humans for it to become more infectious and more deadly. It's my understanding that there's enough testimony, there's enough publications to have us conclude that. So in many ways, the answer is both. SARS-CoV-2, in a sense, came from nature, but it was manipulated in a lab in Wuhan, China.
WHO established one team for investigation in October 2021. What that team is doing right nowadays?
You know, it's opaque to the individuals in the world, really, what the WHO is doing. And they are approaching a point where they want the entire world to sign on, in effect, to what's a political and binding treaty where the World Health Organization would have medical authority over the world. I think this is, again, an alarming development, almost a development towards global totalitarianism of the biopharmaceutical complex, because all medical care is local. All medical care involves local innovations. As you know, in India and Asia, many times it's a blend of traditional and Western medicine. We cannot have the WHO have such broad and overreaching powers.
In fact, I wanted to ask you this question later, but you have already answered it about the treaty of WHO. Why WHO is bringing this kind of treaty, doctor?
It's clear they want more and more power. And in many ways, this is so dangerous.
What kind of power they want? What kind of power? All political power? All sovereign power of respective states?
They want both political and sovereign power over medical and pandemic decisions. And, you know, as an organization that you and I do not elect, we don't have any say on who is involved in an organization. I think many countries are going to be reluctant to basically give up their, in a sense, their rights to make their own emergency pandemic decisions.
2 days back, I was talking to Dr. Mark Keel, one Canadian public policy, health policy researcher. Dr. Mark Keel was saying that when I asked him that, do you believe that WHO is a health organization or a political organization? In the beginning, he was reluctant to give a direct answer, but in the end, he said that it is a political organization. What do you feel, doctor, that WHO is slowly becoming a more political organization than health organization?
I agree with that. I think they clearly have crossed the line into becoming a political organization. They have political goals. The goals are oriented towards seizing power. Remember that the WHO, as well as our other health agencies, we have the U.S. Center for Disease Control, they are only supposed to give recommendations and support doctors in their care. They're in no way have powers to issue rulings or to give commands or to establish laws. And I can tell you right now, it's clear. Actually, the WHO, as well as the CDC in the United States, are becoming political organizations. You know, recently in the United States, we had our mask mandate removed from air travelers. And it wasn't the CDC or scientists who made that decision. It was the courts. We had a federal judge in Florida overturn the mask mandate for the entire country, for the airlines, and then Uber and Lyft and many other affiliated travel agencies dropped mask mandates. That was a clear example that we actually had to use the court system to make a medical decision. And I can tell you, the CDC, as well as the WHO, in many ways, are defunct medical organizations.
But now Bill Gates is saying that we should be prepared for next pandemic. He has written a book, and he is saying openly that we have to bring people on board who must be paid all across the world. So literally, he is trying to buy every individual.
I can tell you at this point in time, foundations like the Gates Foundations and others have clearly overstepped their line. You know, there's a difference between providing funding to experts and then trying to become an expert oneself. The Gates Foundation simply does not have that expertise. And what they're effectively doing is fear mongering. They are injecting fear into a population that's weary of fear over the last 2 years. Many countries now have the lowest levels of COVID-19, including the United States, where we have a slight increase, but from a very low baseline. I'll give you an example. I was on TV recently in Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, where we have 4.7 million individuals. There were only 60 patients in all the hospitals with COVID-19. So I can tell you, we've learned how to treat COVID-19. That's what my book is about. It's the courage to face COVID-19. We've learned to treat COVID-19, and that's changed the calculus of everything.
Before asking a few more questions, doctor, can you please tell our viewer that how you are being fired from your job?
It was over a year ago. After I learned how to treat COVID-19, I published my protocols. I worked with the White House. I testified in the U.S. Senate. Then I showed it worked, and I testified under oath at that time that large fractions of Americans could have been saved from COVID-19. I was actually let go from my position. My contract was not renewed. Now, fortunately, I was able to move my practice, which was growing, to another employer in the same medical complex. But now I have a lawsuit, and the lawsuit is from the original health system, where they claim that I am bringing their name into media interviews. And you can tell even on this interview and all my prior interviews, I never bring their name into the interview. So I have a very expensive and injurious lawsuit against me that has no merit. and there's no justice in the courts. The judge has not even listened to my motion to dismiss.
Now, what is their opinion?
I can't
Have
get
they changed their mind or not?
No, I haven't been able to get an opinion. It's been in the courts for coming up on a year and into mediation with very slow responses on each interchange. I almost think that this lawsuit is intentional to tarnish my name and to try to burden me as I bring the truth to America and to the world on COVID-19.
Doctor, in a way, you are saying that US is not having independent judiciary.
At this point in time, there's many indicators that the courts are fragmented. Many are corrupted. Cases are not being heard. We have suspension of jury trials. We have excessive delays. We need to get back to normal, restore jury trials from a jury from among our peers, start to move cases through the court. I know you've just had a very prolonged case go through the Supreme Court of India, where some of the same problems were seen.
No, what you are saying for last 2 years, it's experience, or it has been doing around the clock from so many years.
No, I think in the last 2 years, since the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been, in a sense, a suspension and then a resumption with corruption, our legal processes. And one by one, our constitutional rights have been stripped away from us.
Doctor, now tell me, here in India, we got two major developments. One is from Supreme Court of India. Few days back, Supreme Court of India passed an order, very important and landmark judgment it is. Supreme Court of India says that you cannot force anyone to get vaccinated. So this kind of judgment came. Absolutely, it came very late. But Supreme Court passed this order that you cannot force anybody. Number one. Number two, court said that you have to disclose the adverse event data. That is very important. And here in India, pharmaceutical company is not having any immunity from law. They have to face the consequences of law. But I believe that in US, even pharmaceutical company got the immunity from law.
That's a major development. And let me congratulate Barrister Prashant Bhushan, who I've interviewed on America Out Loud Talk Radio, the McCullough Report. He is a courageous and persistent and very successful attorney at his twilight of his career. But for the country of India to get such an important Supreme Court decision, giving them sovereignty over their own bodies, giving them the right to make a decision, yes or no, free of any censorship or fear of reprisal, is incredibly important. And then on top of that, to have finally the side effects or the safety data disclosed to them. This is critical for informed consent. We have a worldwide declaration called the Declaration of Helsinki that says in research, all subjects must be given fair, informed consent. And then finally, liability, that the manufacturers would be liable and should be liable for those injured by the products. Since they're new products, there have already been manufacturing problems. You know, both Pfizer and Moderna have had large numbers of lots returned to their companies because of particulate matter and debris found in the products. So, we know that the products are not pure. They are moving quickly to try to produce them, that there's manufacturing problems, and there's almost certainly serious safety problems with the mechanism of action of how the vaccines work. So this is a sweeping set of decisions for India. In many ways, people of India have more protection than Americans.
One more development happened in India, doctor. Nowadays, government of India and WHO are fighting. Why they are fighting, doctor, do you know? WHO revealed a data of death in India. They are saying more than 47 lakhs people died during last 2 years because of COVID and COVID related death. Government of India is saying it is absolutely a lie. And government of India saying that WHO is extrapolating the data on false basis. And their basis is mathematical model, which is absolutely incorrect. So there is a big fight going on between WHO and government, when we were warning government of India that, look, you are avoiding every decision of WHO. Ultimately, you will feel that what WHO is. And finally, you felt. So can you throw some light upon this, doctor?
Well, let me just take modeling at first. You know, there have been attempts at modeling to predict new cases, hospitalizations, and deaths in the United States. The most frequently evaluated model is called the Murray model from the University of Washington in Seattle, one of my former alma mater institutions. And I can tell you modeling has failed miserably because the assumptions are commonly incorrect and they're applied to a large number. So if there's a incorrect assumption and then it's applied to a big number, we can get statistics results that are far from reality. But the modeling implies that, in fact, its best use is to predict the future, not to declare the past. When it comes to mortality, hospitalizations, and cases, each country is responsible for doing their own data collection, doing their own reporting. I've been to India myself. I've visited many cities. I've been to the hospitals. The Indian hospitals are very sophisticated, and they have the ability to do their own reporting. In no way should India accept the WHO modeling statistics over their own data.
Now I'm coming to the WHO treaty question, doctor. Do you believe that America will sign the treaty?
I sincerely hope that America does not sign the treaty, but under our current administration, they are willing to go along with global initiatives and totalitarian vanguards, including the WHO, without any concern over the sentiment of Americans. I can tell you, I am out across the country meeting in major cities. I've been to over 40 major cities and venues. America in no way wants to go along with a World Health Organization, one world order when it comes to medical care or pandemic response. They don't want it. And my fear is that the Biden administration will go against the will of the people.
So who is pushing this agenda, doctor?
It's clear that there is a web of global stakeholders. The stakeholders include major governments like the United States and the governments of India, include the Gates Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, the EcoHealth Alliance, Gavi, CEPI, the Gates Foundation. It involves actually the lab in Wuhan, China originally, diagnostic manufacturers, and of course the World Health Organization. They are now all in alignment to drive massive changes in pandemic response and healthcare, with profits going to the stakeholders. And I can tell you, because the world is a very big place, and all of these tests and all of these vaccines and pharmaceuticals cost a lot of money, the World Health Organization treaty has massive economic ramifications and opportunities for predators to profit on the world.
I think that the vibrant democracy like America, how you look at the situation of American society, will they allow it?
The sentiment of America is against it. And I hope the sentiment of America is heard by our leaders in Washington. America is galvanizing around medical freedom. That is the personal ability to make one's own medical decisions, not an authority at a national or international level, but personal health decisions with one's own individual doctor.
Doctor, I think that you must be aware of the fact that the government, the Indian citizen, along with renowned doctors, engineers, professors, other professionals, journalists, lawyers, they have formed here a universal health organization to counter WHO. And they are just trying to push some very unique treatment module and model, like integrated medicine kind of a concept they are bringing into public domain. So how you look at it?
I think it's a brilliant initiative that the Indian population, as well as the American population, they want these changes. They want a more holistic approach. They want a more integrative approach. And you know what? They're willing to spend their money on this. Many of these systems are cash-based systems, and people are, in a sense, willing to engage in a health marketplace and let market forces dictate success. And here, these doctors who are aligning in this new health system are destined for great success and great satisfaction by their patients.
Doctor, we have seen the experience of tech giants of the world, particularly social media giants and a few tech giants like Gates companies and all. In these kind of situations, do you believe that the move of Elon Musk taking over Twitter is going to give a great fight, technological fight? Are you of this view that it is going to happen?
At this point in time, the jury is out on Elon Musk. And, some of his statements regarding breaking the shackles of censorship and allowing free interchange and having Twitter become basically a common communication carrier, those comments are welcome. But other comments along the lines of using technology to transform the human experience and some of these other futuristic comments, I think are worrisome. My preference would be to remove all forms of censorship, all forms of directionality. For instance, Twitter commonly uses unfollow programs, so people can't follow other individuals. They clearly use censorship, and they make decisions of what content goes on Twitter. And, sadly, Twitter allows pornography, but they won't allow review of a scientific paper. And so the filters that they're using, the censorship programs they're using are so distorted, and they are so bizarre. At this point in time, I think Twitter should remove all forms of censorship, no screening. No one should ever have their account locked or have their account suspended, and they should behave as a common carrier. And I'm hoping Elon Musk will do that. I'm happy to talk with him. Of interest, my interview with Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience far exceeded that of Elon Musk, and it must catch his attention why Americans want to hear more from a doctor than a billionaire.
Now, why I'm saying, doctor, because he out and out supported truckers' convoy movement and freedom movement in Canada, and he expressed some views on coronavirus too. That's why I'm saying that. Do you think that there will be a fight between Gates and Musk, and Musk will support the democratic value and ethics?
Again, the jury's out. America wants to know. In many ways, Twitter has become an autocracy. It's the Elon Musk autocracy. And, people worldwide rely on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, and social media for communications. They have become important worldwide common carriers of communication. We should look at that fairly. And again, if social media is treated as a common carrier and behaves as a common carrier and allows free interchange of speech, freedom of speech, then the world would be better off.
So how much percentage of Americans are careful to express something about Gates and mask?
Now, I'm not sure if the filters are on Gates or Musk or Klaus Schwab or Rockefeller Foundation or these other powerful organizations, but I can tell you the filters are very much on in terms of COVID-19 and pandemic response. We are not having a fair scientific interchange on COVID-19. We're not getting fair information from patients. Patients have their own experiences and they want to express them on social media, and those are censored. And we're clearly not getting a fair view of emerging safety concerns with the vaccines. That's what people are very, very concerned about. The vaccines all have risks, and those risks are being blocked to the public.
Doctor, I want to get some sense of American democracy. Can you please tell us how much people who have supported Democrat, now they are criticizing Democrat on the issue of coronavirus and dealing of corona pandemic?
I don't have those statistics in front of me. We have a two-party system, Democratic and Republican. It's fairly clear at this point in time, the approval rating of the Biden administration is at a record low. Americans have been frustrated. They haven't seen teams of qualified doctors in Washington handling the pandemic. We don't see doctors who have experience in treating COVID-19 representing the government in pandemic response. Now, myself and many other of the hero doctors in my book and those that the Americans see on TV, they gravitate to us because we're giving a fair review of the data and we're giving practical solutions to America. Americans have had 2 years of no information from the government, from their doctors, from health systems and hospitals. They haven't gotten any practical instructions on what to do. So as I and my colleagues go across the nation giving public programs and making TV appearances, our audiences are huge.
So in the end, Doctor, what would be your message about your book to the rest of the world and particularly for Indian viewers?
The book is destined to be a bestseller. John Leake is one of the most talented authors in the world. It is easily read and understood. It is extensively sourced and factual. It's a work of nonfiction. He's taken the effort to interview and carefully study all the major characters, all the major contributors to the advancement in treating COVID-19. And it's an absolutely wonderful book. It will summarize for the world how this happened, how the virus indeed started to spread across the world, how doctors responded to it, the desperation that we had as patients were being hospitalized and died, and how we responded with early treatment protocols, what the independent observations were being made, and then the opposition that we started to feel. Instead of getting congratulations, instead of getting support and research grants, we started to get opposition. There was clear suppression of early treatment, in my view, to promote fear, suffering, hospitalization, and death in order to prepare America and prepare the world to accept mass vaccination. That's the crime that is clearly elucidated in the book.
Doctor, your Anthony Fauci is saying that America is out of pandemic phase. Here in India, people again tried their level best. They are saying that the fourth wave will come. Earlier, they were saying that the third wave will come, and that third wave would be a pediatric wave. That did not arrive. Now they are pushing agenda for fourth wave, and I think it will not come. So, what is your opinion?
I think there will be additional waves. The virus will find pockets of susceptibility. We just saw a wave, for instance, in South Korea. But fortunately, these waves with the Omicron subvariants are very brief. They can be tall, but they're very brief. Patients get a mild illness similar to a viral upper respiratory tract infection, low rates of hospitalization and death, really all completely avoidable with early treatment. So it's pretty clear we're not going to get to zero cases, but the public is not served well by fear-mongering, by using prediction models, by treaties that start to involve their sovereignty with the WHO. Patients are served well by independent doctors who serve the patients in a free medical system.
They must be investigated.
There will be investigations. There is no doubt about it. Those responsible for the vast number of lives lost, the huge number of unnecessary hospitalizations, and now, sadly, those who are being injured, disabled, and dying after the vaccine, all of those stakeholders who are responsible for these crimes will be brought to justice.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We have talked a lot, I think, and you spared your precious time for us. Once again, I am obliged, and thank you very much for being with us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And visit our book on Amazon and other sellers, COVID-19, The Courage to Face COVID-19 While Battling the Biopharmaceutical Complex. Authors are Leek and McCullough. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. थैंक यू वेरी मच। तो ये थे डॉक्टर पीटर मैकॉला। इस इंटरव्यू को आप पूरी तरह से देखिए, ध्यान लगा करके सुनिए, बहुत गंभीरता से उन्होंने बात की है। उन्होंने जो किताब लिखा है उसे पढ़ना बहुत जरूरी है। अमेजॉन पर, जैसा कि उन्होंने बताया, कि अमेजॉन पर अवेलेबल है। आप उसे सर्च करने की कोशिश कीजिए कि किस तरीके से वैक्सीन एजेंडे को पुश किया गया, ट्रीटमेंट प्रोटोकॉल को दबाया गया, इस सब के बारे में इस किताब में खुलासा है और वो बता रहे हैं। डॉक्टर पीटर मैकॉला ने साफ साफ कहा कि भारत ने जो यूनिवर्सल हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की शुरुआत की है, इसकी बहुत जरूरत है। WHO अपना ट्रस्ट आहिस्ता आहिस्ता खो रहा है और WHO का जो ट्रीटी अभी जो आने वाला है उसको लेकर के उन्होंने साफ साफ कहा कि ये ब्लंडर होगा और ये टोटलिटेरियन रिजीम की तरफ बढ़ना होगा और भारत सरकार को कम से कम ये निर्णय तो नहीं ही लेना चाहिए। और मुझे नहीं लगता है कि भारत सरकार इस दिशा में कोई निर्णय करेगी और कोई ट्रीटी इस तरह का इस प्रकार का ट्रीटी वो साइन करेगी जिससे कि भारत की संप्रभुता खतरे में हो, भारत का संविधान खतरे में पड़ जाए और भारत खतरे में पड़ जाए। तो हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि सरकार उस ट्रीटी की तरफ बहुत गंभीरता से ध्यान देगी। तो आज के लिए बस इतना ही। एक और घोषणा हम कर दें कि मंगलवार को 3 बजे मुंबई से हमें आप लाइव देख सकते हैं। वो WHO का प्रेस मीट है और मैं भी उसमें शिरकत करने जा रहा हूं। तो तब तक के लिए अनुमति दीजिए। नमस्कार।